Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing fantastic, family. So, I kind of was thinking today, after I had seen another influencer, and this particular influencer bans people pretty quickly. Heavy censorship, heavy mods. And one could argue that it leads to a crowd of yes men. As you know, I do censor some people who are literally insane who come on my channel, and I've literally just seen people say things that are empirically not true, misinformed, disingenuous, spammy, and a lot of them are from ex-Muslim channels. So, yeah, if they just keep insulting Islam, I give them like, okay, you can talk about something else, and they just keep going on, and eventually I'm just like, okay, obviously they're not here to really engage, but just to spam. So, yeah, I do censor people like that. But there are some people on the channel who sometimes agree with me and sometimes don't. And I think it's really important to have those kind of people around on the channel because it keeps me in a sense of balance and also keeps things interesting. I'm fine with people disagreeing with me if they just word it in a way that's nice to read. You feel me? That's the kinds that I like. The people who take time to like really write out their opinion. They're not like overly like going off the charts. I don't mind because it's literally impossible for everyone to agree on the same thing. And you won't ever know if you're wrong if people are too afraid to speak up. And I would never want to be seen as like a cult leader. Nothing like a cult leader. I mean, I don't have that many views to be a cult leader, right? And I'm a woman, so it's not happening. But you know what I mean. And I feel like some people, they overly censor so much, and if you really invested in a creator a content creator that is, and then all of a sudden you disagree with them on one thing and then they ban you, I feel like you're creating an army of people who hate you because all the energy they put in to promoting you, sharing your content, and then on one minor issue they tend to disagree and you just ban them without a second chance. It's really unfortunate. And I was just watching another content creator who very fast, very easily gets rid of people. And then that kind of shocked my mind because I thought I myself have shared this person's content and spoken up for them, defended them, and maybe one day I'll get banned for not agreeing with them. And why do I want to follow somebody who won't let me speak my mind, even in casual things? They just want you to always agree. Is that really healthy? And sure, just because you disagree doesn't mean you have to mention it every time. But if you word it in the right way, I don't really see what the problem is. Right? So, again, if any of you ever disagree with me, just word it in a way that's easy to read, where it's not like filled with venom and psychotic rambling. You don't want to be like that. Like when I disagree with some people, I try to word it now in the best way. Sometimes I am a little bit rude, but that, if I go off and be totally mean, then that means I'm totally willing for that person to ban me, right? Or I'm replying to someone else on someone else's comment section, that's quite different, right? When I'm on a creator's page and I'm critiquing the creator of that content, I usually just keep it to the casual disagreement. But if it's someone in the comment section on a YouTube channel, then it's a little bit different. You can respond to that person differently than you would the owner of the channel, because that person cannot necessarily ban you outright, right? So just keep that in mind. I don't want to be a tyrant who just is surrounded in an echo chamber, circle jerk, yes men, because then you start to get into delusional thinking. Because if you don't have anyone there to check you or to give you a counterpoint, you can't really grow. The funnest classes I've had were like, I remember one time I was in an art class, and it was like an art / philosophy class. There was an emo kid. He had black hair, super pale, like he never seen the sun, gray under his eyes. I don't even remember his name, but me and him disagreed on a lot. But when he disagreed, it was really cool because he would say things in such a calm way that I'd be like, oh, okay, and like we would discuss things. That was like pretty awesome. And me and him were not really the favorites in the class because we were not yes people to the teacher. You know, some people in the class are just, they want to make sure that they don't get docked anyway on their grade, so they just ask the teacher. But me and him would be like, no, well, I don't see this interpretation, or I see it, or okay. But whenever me and him would disagree, it was actually pretty cool. In one political science class, there was this guy. He worked in he made lasers or something, like glass for lasers or something, with his dad. He was pretty poor, but he dressed kind of weird, but he was a libertarian, super smart, and when he disagreed on politics with me, it was actually pretty cool because we would discuss things and I'd be like, no, but what about this? But if you do this tax code, well, what if I want that one? Well, okay, but if you do this and then I vote for that. It was so cool because he disagreed, but I could learn something. You know, I can't say that about women. I've never had that experience with women. You know, usually girls, when they disagree with you, they just kind of roll their eyes and call you the B word and they just don't care. But when men would disagree, like really nerdy men, that was fun for me because I learned something from them, and then we would go back and forth. And even if we didn't agree at the end of the day, it was still pretty cool. You know, and I still remember them to this day. If I ever see them again, I think that'd be pretty cool, but they're probably off. Maybe they gone, moved away, who knows? It's been so long, you know? But I think about how those people were not afraid to tell me their different opinion on what I said, and they were not unwilling to hear what I had to say in response, right? And I really value that. I really do. Because there's some people who just insult. Like, when I did AP's channel, I had the weirdest, I rarely check my DMs, but I got this weirdest insults, you know, and clearly those people, if you block them, it's like, the insults is just like, you're not looking for a conversation. But if you have some people who will disagree, and they're willing to engage, is pretty interesting. Like, I had one Christian woman, she doesn't like the way we call ourselves the slaves of Allah. And I told her not to call me a child of God because we Muslims don't use the term child of God. And so me and her had a conversation of why we differentiate between calling ourselves children of God versus slaves of Allah. And that was pretty intelligent. She did get a little bit insulty, saying that, oh, Islam sounds like hell. And I had to be like, hey, don't insult, just stick to the point, you know? Just have a regular tit-for-tat theological conversation. It's a lot harder to do with women than it is with men. But I did learn a little bit of like how to navigate the Christian woman's mind when you're dealing with a fundamentalist, right? Which was pretty interesting. And so I just want to make sure all of you on the channel understand that I never want to just allow everyone to speak, because they'll just insult and rant and really strange comments of like, kind of gross things, you know. But I do value the good critics. I'm not going to name who's stuck around on the channel who doesn't always agree with me, because maybe they don't want attention on them. but they just word their criticism in another way, and you're like, oh, okay, like it's not too bad to read. And I reply to them, they accept my reply, and then next video, maybe they agree with me, and then the next video they don't, right? There's a balance, and I like that balance. Because I never want to be like these content creators who literally ban everyone, and they become like a cult leader, they become egocentric, they become hyper-emotional, delusional. I'd say they put themselves almost on mental illness blockade because they don't ever test their mind. And whenever someone stands up against them, they get super angry. Sometimes you can get angry at stupidity, but if it's all the time and you don't care who you ban, even if they were once your friend, I think that's bad character, and it shows a lack of control. I mean, think about a general. If he just kicked everybody out of the military who he didn't agree with or messed up, it would be kind of odd, you know? Or if a teacher, every time a student didn't agree with him, they kicked him out of class, how small would the class be? And how valuable would the education be if you're never allowed to criticize the teacher? Like, that was one thing I hated about when I went to Georgetown University. They invited me to see if I wanted to go to their school. And the way that people were talking to the teacher, and then when I would respond to some of the things he said, he clearly didn't want anyone talking. He wanted to be the one lecturing, preaching, and it's just like, no. You're a teacher, not a pastor. This is an exchange. We are paying for this class. We are the customers. And you're not some god who can't be challenged. You're a teacher, that's it. And so it bothered me, and then I remember leaving the event and not going to the dinner afterwards. It bothers me when teachers, they don't let you speak up. Because it's like you're going to go into debt to be in a classroom where you can't challenge the stupidity of the teacher. You know, like, for example, I had liberal writing teachers. They would just rant about Trump, and it had nothing to do with the freaking class when he was in office, right? And there'd be points where I wanted to just say, like, what about Obama? Or what about this, right? Or what about this good thing that Trump did, okay? Well, what about this, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying, right? But I knew, no, they're just gonna get mad. They're gonna hate me. Maybe they won't call on me when I raise my hand. It makes you actually hate the teacher because you're never allowed to say anything. Now, I had one teacher, he was from England, and he had that classic English accent. He was probably like 57, and he was a political science teacher, and he would let the students disagree with him, and he was actually cool in responding. You could see he was a liberal, but when you'd reply, he liked his conservative students. He saw us as like spunky, like energetic, very forward. He tolerated us and let us speak and educated us, and I think he's one of the best political science teachers I've ever seen. I've had a lot of teachers who they hate you after you speak up against them in class. Like, they have a vendetta against you. And for me, I always think, what is the point of the class? If the teacher's just gonna blah, 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 blah talk, and you're not allowed to educate yourself through testing their mind, then they might as well just be a recorded video on a screen, and you might as well just be home, right? There's no point in paying for a class if when you go there, you just have to sit there all bored, just listening to them talk, just like a video. What's cool about certain teachers is they let you engage with them, and they let you be honest, and they don't punish you if you disagree with them. So when it comes to a content creator who's trying to lead people, trying to promote a certain agenda or philosophy or perspective or a community or a movement, you name it, and then this person will turn away his loyal people, he or she, they will turn their loyal followers away because they disagreed on one thing, and the mods just ban. Why would you want to invest time in that? Just like, why would you want to pay for a teacher's class if you can't ever speak your mind? Might as well watch a free YouTube video and save your money, right? So I just want you to know that if you ever disagree with me, word it in a good way, ask me to clarify, help me to see your perspective. That really helps. Like if you just say an insult, I don't really know what you disagree or why you disagree or what your perspective is. And also, you know how sometimes I do those community posts and I say thoughts, idea, question for them? Put your perspective in and then ask me to respond to it. That's much better because we can learn from each other. That's what I really hope for, because these people who heavily ban make people so angry that they actually create more opposition than if they just let that person talk and then answered them, and then that person would calm down and then probably agree with them on something else. So by me observing how these teachers behaved, how certain content creators behaved, I can see that I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be in an echo chamber, but I also don't want to be the punching bag for people to just spew their hatred on, right? There's a balance, a respect balance, a communication balance. So hopefully you got my point, and hopefully you're having a good day. Let me know what you think.